What's the haps? I'm John, aka Meroka, and welcome to Spiel. Normally I would have a sword there. I don't have a sword. Today is not a sword day. Oh well, we have guns. We have new guns. We have, I suppose let's jump right in. Let's do some Spiral Knights news. News is I got this. Pow! Pow! It's a new gun. Toast Drones update is obviously a thing, so new toys are afoot. Mine's obviously still only a 3-star, it's a little dinky one, but that's kind of how it works. Got a little lunge which does damage, and then a shoot which does some more damage, and then we can rain down furious shards from the sky, just in case you want a little bit of a weapon demo. So that's that. We are in Golden Bishop tier 3 for its fiends, because well, I'm probably not going to find it in this level, but at any rate, fiends are your best source of getting the tokens we need to make the ID cards, to make the stuff. I suppose we'll get them from the fiends. There probably won't be any like scenario rooms, because this is kind of not the right type of level to find a scenario room in, but oh, whatevs. I'll make do with just shooting these guys in the face and getting my tokens that way. Hopefully. I believe the drop rate on them is like 1 in 50-ish, I think is what people have determined it to be. So 1 in 50 fiends will drop you tokens. And obviously the deeper into the clockworks you go and the higher difficulties the better you get. I think they drop 5 each, is it, on Elite Tier 3? Don't quote me on that. Hopefully we'll find out. There's plenty of them to kill to find out about. And I'm probably going to regret bringing a 3-star weapon, but hey-ho, we shall see how this one winds up. At any rate, I've got a few things I want to talk about today, and going to see whether I can actually get through all of them, because there's a whole bunch of stuffs. For starters, let us begin with, well, last week I mentioned I had a job interview with some people who provide Spiral Knights. They're not 3 Rings, but Area Games. They are one of the distributors of Spiral Knights. I had that yesterday. That was yesterday. That went pretty well, you know, despite the language barrier. Doing a interview over a phone with a guy whose native language was German is definitely a first for me. That was an interesting experience, especially my phone is awful and he was in a room that was rather echoey. So yeah, not terribly amazing, but the interview, when we communicated reasonably well, I think went reasonably well. So I'm okay with this. There is, I guess, another stage to that. That's going to be... Well, I was under the impression I was supposed to have heard back about that today, and I have not, so a little bit concerned in that regard, but I don't know, I've kind of mentally sort of worked myself up for, oh my god, I could be moving to Germany within the next month, and I'm like, oh, am I ready to deal with that? I don't know if I'm ready to deal with that. That's just crazy talk. But at the same time, it would be kind of cool and interesting and unique, life-changing experience, no doubt. So... Again, still don't know quite how I feel about it, but it probably would be pretty cool. I can't see many downsides to it. Other than, well, one major downside is I suppose I would be separated via great distances from the folks I run Button Mash with, but I'm sure we can find some workarounds. There are planes. They exist for a reason, right? We'll figure something out. At any rate, yeah, that's that. So, just in case you're interested in my life, I like to keep you guys abreast. I don't know why. Just because it's a vloggy kind of thing, and that's kind of what you do in a vlog. This is a Spiral Spiel. I'm going to spiel. One question I have had, and do keep getting asked, is about names. Someone very recently, as in like about 5 minutes ago, asked me, why do I call it Spiral Spiel? Firstly, because, oh, there we go, 4 of them, that's what I get. Firstly, because it alliterates. They've got the same sp kind of sound, which is great. Sounds wonderful to say. Spiral Spiel. It's wonderful. And Spiel is kind of a term that I think would most frequently be used in like a sales pitch, but it's just sort of a lot of speaking, rambling, long chunks of speech, which is kind of what the series is. It's me talking a lot about all sorts of stuff, so it's a spiel. It's my spiral spiel, as it were. So that's that. Had a question. I think I was planning to talk about this later, but we'll do it now. EliteJHD said, how do you come up with your in-game name and YouTube username? Whenever I look up Button Mash on YouTube, it comes up with a lot of unicorn videos. Yeah, I know it does. I very much know it does. Button Mash was founded in December 2010. The YouTube channel did not come till much later, but Button Mash as an organisation was founded in December of 2010. In November of 2010, a certain TV show was created, one by the name of My Little Pony. And Button Mash continued on its way, unaware of this new My Little Pony thing, because that didn't really reach any kind of weird, geeky sort of fan base for some considerable time after that, so that didn't really come to prominence. So we carried on doing our thing, calling ourselves Button Mash, because, you know, it's a gaming term. It's just mashing buttons. It's, you know, it's the really bad way of playing games. It's oh, you know, you're not playing the game, you're just button mashing. It's, yeah, we're bad at games, is kind of the in-joke. It's button mash. But at some point in, I think, 2012, the guys who make My Little Pony decided that what they would do is name one of their characters Button Mash. Because that's obviously a really great name for a pony, right? That's a totally fantastic name for a pony. So, obviously the My Little Pony fan base is a little bit bigger than mine. And so, you know, in trying to, you know, compete, there's lots of My Little Pony fan videos and stuff on YouTube, because that fandom is just terrifying, I think is what it is the best word. Yes, the Button Mash the Pony fans. And we are not affiliated with Button Mash the Pony. No, we are affiliated with the organisation that's been around for 2 years longer than Button Mash the Pony, thanks. So, just to clear that one up, it is not the same thing. I am not a brony. I have no plans to be a brony. We're not affiliated with My Little Pony. It's just a terrible, terrible, tragic coincidence. That means now whenever anybody looks for the name of my channel, all they get is brony videos, which, I don't know, maybe I should just change the frickin' name or something, just to be better search engine optimized, but why should I change? They're the one who sucks. It's a quote Office Space, you know? I'm okay with being called what I'm called. They're the one who sucks, you know? So, no. Right. That's the story there. Meroka is actually, it's not even a particularly original name. It has, I guess, Spanish origins. I guess it's like a, from what, if you Google it, you turn up a lot of people with a surname of that. So I think it's a reasonably common surname in Spanish-speaking countries even, and. It did in fact become the name of a point defense missile point defense system on certain Spanish naval warships. And there's a book I read by Alistair Reynolds in which he's one of my favourite authors. I've mentioned him on many occasions before, and one of his books he decided to name all of the characters after parts of swords, with the single exception of, for whatever reason, Meroka, which he named after the gun, or at least as far as anyone is aware. I'm not sure if he's ever particularly clarified on it, but I think most people assume it's named after the gun. And I didn't particularly know this at the time either. I just thought it was a cool name, so I just stole the name. I was like, you know what, I need an online handle. The online handle I had at the time, I had been using since, well, you've probably seen it in things like Minecraft. It was IceFox2K. I'd been using it since like 2000. That was an online handle I'd stuck with for over 10 years. And I was like, you know what, I really don't want the online handle I picked out when I was 13 anymore. That's probably time to move on. And I was like, okay, this is a pretty cool name, let's go with that. So here we are, I'm Meroka. And I did check the video last week, those black boxes are the titanium lock boxes. I am aware of this now. And we have heat. I can heat up my Wild Buster. Let's do some heating. That'll be cool. So there's some naming stuffs for you, and that explains the ponies, hopefully. In case anybody else had wondered why the ponies. So, like I say, I wasn't planning to do that question just yet, but okay, so that's answered, that's out of the way, we're done. What else had I planned to talk about? Yogg Discovery is kind of in the news at the minute. Actually, it kind of... all the articles started popping up like immediately after I recorded last week's Spiel. It's kind of news for last week, but I kind of feel like it needs talking about because it's gaming and YouTube and relevant to the industry and what's going on around here. So if you're not familiar with it, the Yogscast, you know, those guys with 7 million subscribers who do a lot of Minecraft, they've started a program which they're calling Yogg Discovery, which is basically what they're saying is that if you as an indie developer want them to play their game, what you can do is sign up to this YOG Discovery program, and what they will do is they will play your game in exchange for a cut of, I don't know if they've specified specific numbers, but a portion of all the revenue earned from the sales within the next week. Because obviously, you know, it's a channel with 7 million, there is a minimum number of views that you're going to see. If they do anything on their channel at all, people are going to see it, which means lots of people are probably going to buy it. The bigger the channel, the more people are going to see it, and so on and so forth. So they're in a position where they can say, look, if we play your game, a lot of people are going to buy your game. So they're in a position where they can say, okay, we would like to be paid for this. And if it was simple as, look, here in exchange for a lump sum amount of cash, we will cover your game, that would be fair. That's effectively, you know, advertising. That's been done before. Plenty of other Polaris type folks have been given offers in the past. People like your Total Biscuits have been offered things where it's like, okay, we'll pay you a amount of money and you guys will play a game. And Guns of Icarus have done it, for Christ's sake, and Guns of Icarus is a great game. I've got nothing against that. They've basically, all they'll say is, in exchange for a chunk of money, a bunch of four guys on the Polaris network play Guns of Icarus together, and therefore a few million people see Guns of Icarus and our sales get boosted as a result. That's called advertising. That works. When you're talking about taking a portion of all the revenue for the following week, that's getting in a little bit more grey territory, and suddenly everyone's kind of going, wait a minute, that's not really how this works. I mean, for starters, it's definitely not going to create anything unbiased. I mean, with the gaming stuff, it's just, hey, we're going to play the game. If we like it, we like it. If we don't, we don't. No one's paying us for an opinion here, but when the Yogscast are showing off the game, you know, if they say, oh my god, this is the best game ever, this is so amazing, you absolutely have to buy this, everybody in the world should be buying and playing this right now, well, they're a little bit biased if they say that, because they're getting, the more people that buy it, the more money they make. Also factor into that often when someone does a marketing campaign, it's likely not just to be one format at once. Chances are with games it's going to be around launch, there's going to be a lot of other people creating videos, a lot of other big channels, a lot of other smaller channels. So I don't know if anyone's ever bought a game through my reviews. If you have, that's cool, that's awesome. I don't know that I have, but I think it'd be cool if people had. But with your big channels, again, with your Total Biscuits, they're doing videos that are critique and people will buy games on the basis of that. And basically the Yogscast is saying, well, we're also taking a cut of all sales, so any sales generated through other people's reviews, we're also going to take credit for that. Any sales that would have been generated naturally by, I don't know, say the game launching, we're going to take some credit for that, and we're going to take a cut of all that. And they're not doing any kind of metric tracking, any kind of, I can't remember what the term is, but you can put referrals, that's it, like a referral link, so that, you know, it sends them to a specific page that says, oh, people who bought it from this page attribute that one to the Yogscast. The Yogscast generated that sale, therefore they weren't paying for that. No, they're just saying, okay, you go onto the Humble Store, and I think it's just all sales generated through the Humble Store, they'll take, I don't know, whatever, 10%, I don't know what the figure is, from all of those sales, which is a little bit dubious. I mean, this kind of ties into another point I was kind of wanting to talk about a little bit, is someone else pointed out earlier in the week, I forget who it was, but with a lot of with this sort of your online video community, it's a new media and it's still developing, it's still very early days for a lot of people, and ultimately there's no one really keeping check on it. With the games industry, sort of like print media, historically there have been, you know, massive uproar and people have paid money for advertising spots for reviews and stuff, like Jeff Gersman and, what was it, Kanan Lynch, was it? I think was the game. There was a huge scandal years back, and these things pop up from time to time, where it's just like, oh yes, you accepted we took a load of money and covered our site in your branding, and then we did a review for your game and it gave it a 6 out of 10, and then they're like, well, hang on, we just spent however many hundreds of thousands covering your website in our adverts, and you give us a 6 out of 10. That doesn't work right. And suddenly, you know, the review is hastily edited, and suddenly now it says 8 or 9 out of 10. And it's like, oh well, that's not right. That's not right at all. So it's that kind of deal. you don't. There's no one really keeping tabs on people in YouTube. And it's interesting that when Total Biscuit did actually do his thing on the Yogscast's payment, he was like, oh, this is a bit of a grey area, this is a bit weird, but they're my friends, I don't begrudge them this. And I was like, well, actually, you know, the way YouTube works is everybody kind of works together and benefits from each other at the minute. Nobody's really going to call anyone out on it because everyone stands to gain from everybody else's success, especially people within the Polaris, because obviously they frequently work together and collaborate and do things. It would be just a much smaller analogy would be to say like the Strangelands. If someone on Strangelands did something really dubious and I called them out on it, chances are they would never want to make a video with me ever again, and therefore networking opportunities are lost and my potential for growth down the line and future success is hindered by the same factor. So there's nobody really on YouTube actually going to call anyone out and say, hang on, this isn't right. Although I feel perhaps with someone with less than 1,000 subscribers, chances are I'm never really going to work with the Yogscast, so maybe I'm the sort of person who could probably quite comfortably turn around and say, that ain't cool, you know? And I would very much say it isn't. It really needs to be handled much better, because at the minute it just stinks of corruption is what it does at the minute right now. So, I mean, I have historically always, I still would say I am a fan of the Yogscast. I do enjoy the content they make, but policies and business decisions they've made in the last few weeks have been very, very dubious, to say the very least. So that's a thing to note. If you're the sort of person who likes to boycott products because of poor management, hey, maybe Yogscast should be on your list. Just saying. I don't know. So, yes, be aware, corruption is a thing in YouTube, and you too could be affected by it. The thing is, if you're not aware of these issues, chances are people can and will buy games on the basis of those reviews, and they're, as I say, they're quite likely to be very disingenuous, just on the basis that Yogscast just have you know, the potential to make money off the grounds of straight up lying about the game. So that's the thing. Anyway, I wanted to get that one off my chest because that's been a issue at the moment, and something that probably should be addressed. There was something else. Oh yeah, that one tied in, as I mentioned, with the collaboration with each other on YouTube. It was actually, it's kind of a weird segue, but something Generic B was talking about in one of his videos earlier in the week. As if you're watched the Mindcrack server type things, which I do, I'm a fan of those. I very much, when I'm talking about stuff, I very much assume everybody watches the same stuff as me. If you don't, you should go watch all the things I watch and stop liking what I don't like and all that. So yeah, Generic B was talking about collaborations, and I just, on the basis that I've had more than a few people recently say, oh, by the way, can I be in your videos? I have a microphone, and it's like, it's not that simple. It's really, really not that simple. It's not, I have a microphone, this should work, let me join you. First off, Spiel, don't even try. That's solo, that's always going to be solo, that's never going to change. If I do something with someone else, it's going to be something else that's not a Spiel. Spiel is solo, end of, no discussion to be had. Anything else? Any other collaborations? I mean, I've often painted myself as kind of an introvert, and I kind of am. I'm really freaking awkward around other people, and that's with people I know well. I'm awkward with people I know well. With people I don't particularly know, Jesus Christ, don't get me started. I mean, out there on the internet, if you watch the Strangeland stuff that I do, the Minecraft series at the moment, there's a video I did a little while back with Mod where we did a big old building prank with Mr. Brian Lorgon 111. Sorry, Dr. Brian Lorgon 111. I always do that. I always get his title wrong. And well, on my channel, I super heavily edited the footage so that it was actually quite an amusing video. I thought that was quite funny because we had like an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of footage, which I trimmed down to about 30 minutes because, you know, I just kept the good stuff in. That's how video editing works. You don't have to watch an hour and a half of me being awkward. Mod's put up the whole thing unedited on his channel, by the way, if you want to go and see it unedited. And you can see how absolutely awkward I am with other people, which is kind of why I'm not great with the whole working with other people. And yeah, collaboration just doesn't, you can't say it's as simple as just hop on the mic together and things happen. There's chemistry, there's camaraderie, there's people who work well together, to use continue using generic B as the example. He does a lot of work with BOO. He's known BOO for ages. They are like best mates, BFFs. And, you know, when they do a video together, there's a lot of chemistry there. They've clearly done a lot of work together in the past, and it shows, and it comes through in their videos. With somebody I don't know, chances are it's going to be awkward as hell. Oh, another great example, a few months back I did a race through Hotline Miami with the Great Grand Orb, which was a 3-part series, and sorry, Great Grand Orb, if there's any remote chance you're watching us. Ooh, an arena. Oh god, that's a danger room. That's going to suck, maybe. Ooh, and another danger room. Full of fun danger rooms. Now I'm tempted to invite people in, despite of what I just said, just so I've got some people to do a danger room with. Ooh boy. This could be end of the road when I die then, but that's the thing. Okay. So, where was I? Yeah, the Great Grand Orb thing. Man, that was awkward. That was literally a case of the first time I had spoken to him ever on the microphone was when we did the recording. I had never spoken to that guy before in my life before we did that. He just came out of the blue one day and said, hey, do you want to do a thing? And me being naive and new to collaborating and not really having done much before and thinking that this would be a great opportunity, I was like, yes, let us collaborate. I would like to collaborate with you. And sweet baby Jesus was that awkward. So I would prefer to collaborate with people who I have at least a slightly established relationship with now, or, you know, sort of friends of friends. The Strangeland stuff, there's often elements of, you know, I've met this guy before, let's do a thing together. Like the building game we did recently, that was kind of a couple of folks in there I didn't know, and if I'm honest, I don't entirely remember the names of now. It's Phaedron and Just Van, I think, were the guys in there that I'd never met before, and they just kind of came out of the blue. They were people Brian knew, but I didn't, so kind of meeting new people there and then immediately forgetting their names because I'm a terrible, terrible human being like that. So that's kind of actually how collaboration works. Collaboration isn't just, you're a person, you have a microphone, let's do that. So I'm sorry to disappoint people and ruin lives like that, but it just can't happen. It won't happen like that. Just on the basis of I'm too awkward for it to happen, and it doesn't make for compelling entertainment. On top of everything else, I'm wondering if this is a good place to actually stand and do this, because I think things are going to keep respawning. Let's open up that gate. Let a few more Gorgos in. Don't you eat me! Well, at least I got a blitz, and there is a pill over there, which will hopefully serve me well. Tell you what, let's smash that and get out of there. Oh, it does take 1 hit to break them. That's good. That's confirmed. 1 hit break job. Okay, we got... Oh, hello. Let's destroy that and continue to destroy that. Don't want anything coming through that portal. Questions! Let's do questiones if I can manage to shoot and read and things at the same time, which I probably can't, which is, I've historically demonstrated this fact. What else have we got? I've done the interview, bomber update question is a thing that I've been sent. Alti-Spinax 5225, oh, there's a name, asks, do you think there will ever be a bomber update? Oh, hello, okay. We have lots of cool stuff for the sword users out there. Gunners will get something cool as well that leaves all the bombers in the dust. Personally, I think bombs are a fun and different way to play the game, but since the few items for the bombers, I've gone to the common sword and gun combo for my sets. Bomber update would really help those who like using bombs. Yes, it would. I would totally agree with that. I would totally, I would echo that sentiment. I have sort of speculated, hypothesized, suggested a hypothetical gunner update on a few occasions. I've said, oh, there should be a gunner update, and it will probably come after the bomb. There should be a bomber update after the gunner update. Sorry, and I think it would make sense. I think 3 Rings would be silly not to do that. To be quite honest, I think if you add a load of content specifically for the gunners, well, then the bombers, yeah, are very lackluster as a weapon choice by comparison, and chances are not many people are going to use them, and they're going to be a weapon set very much in need of an overhaul after that. Oh my god, that is actually... No! Die! Okay. Woo! Blitz Needle is a nice weapon. I am okay with the Blitz Needle. And... Ah! Who knew danger rooms would be difficult? Let's take a pill. Make a chill pill. Just need to keep things at arm's length. I'm glad there's a lot of walls in here. The walls are really nice, because they keep everything separated. Things don't come attack me. Okay, so that's going to respawn. We do that. So yes, bomber update, like I say, I've said on many occasions, sort of a hypothetical bomber update. I do think it would be a very good addition to the game. There probably should be one, and I do think 3 rings would be silly not to do that. But interesting factoid that I've seen someone post on the forums recently is that, did you know that the Gunner update has been in development longer than Spiral Knights was originally in beta for? Which is... I did not know that, but yeah, kind of makes sense. Oh, shot it out the air. Is there anything more satisfying than shooting a howitzer out of the air while it's flying towards you? I think not. Have we just got the Gorgos to go? I think we've mostly got the Gorgos. And we might be done here. I might have survived a danger room, which is goddamn unprecedented, especially a danger room solo on tier 3. I know it's not a traditional proper danger room. The one next door, the one over to the right there, will probably murderlate me, but this is okay. I'm managing this. Let's just shoot you in the face, I guess. Oh, and there we go. How many do we get? 1, 2, 3, 7! 1, 2, 3, 7. That's how we count. Sweet! That was quite good. Cool. Deraton asks... no, wait, no. Deraton asked me... Oh, I've missed a question. Deraton asks me, can you tell me how to record what I do in Spiral Knights? Yes, you will need a bit of recording software. I use a program called Bandicam. The other popular ones are DxTory or Fraps. Fraps works, but is kind of out of date and is not widely popular anymore. Bandicam and DxTory, I think, are the 2 main popular ones. There's also a piece of software called Open Broadcaster Software that you can download, which is actually free. The others are about £25 or your regional equivalent. And yeah, Open Broadcaster software is totally free, and I believe you can record with that. I've never personally tried it. It's useful for streaming on Twitch. It's very good for that, but I don't know specifically about recording. I totally forgot to heat my Wild Buster up. And if you want to talk, well, you're going to need a microphone. Buy a microphone. That's how you do that. It's fairly straightforward. There are tutorials for any bit of software you care to name out there, so whatever one you settle on, just Google it or YouTube it. People will very readily tell you how to use stuff. That's just how software is these days. I'm not going to go in any great depth, but rest assured that if you want to get into recording, there are a bajillion and one people out there quite happy to tell you in a great deal of length exactly how to do so. So that's a thing. Let's try and do one more question. Whether we're going to finish this level or not, I have no idea. Anik asks, Meroka, do you think that we are living in the Matrix? That's a fantastic question, I've got to say. I would say that there's probably not much way to tell. Who knows? We could very well be. It's entirely plausible. But any particular way of testing, if the Matrix was well enough constructed, there wouldn't particularly be any real way of actually testing to find out. Although, interesting kind of, to illustrate the point, or actually I don't know where I'm going with this, or something that it brought to mind, I think is where I'm going with this. Your question, rather than specifically The Matrix, there's also a movie I really like called Existenz, which is a very similar kind of concept, but for whatever reason, the one thing that came to mind when you asked the question is actually there's a piece of short fiction that you can find on the internet, and if you're familiar with Isaac Asimov's The Last Question, there's a website that compiles loads of stuff to like that. And there's the Last But One Question, which is kind of a parody of that, The Last Question. And they had a bunch of short stories, and one of them was one that is called, I don't know, Timmy, being God is a big responsibility. And that's a story, it's got similar elements of sort of almost sci-fi pop culture stuff. There's definitely a Hitchhiker's Guide reference in there, for crying out loud. And it's a story about quantum computing. The idea, this is very much in the realms of fiction. There's nothing remotely like this likely to happen in the near future in humanity's immediate present. But quantum computing, the idea of basically creating, I don't know what technology, the premise it would be based on, something quantum presumably, but the idea of creating a computer that was infinitely powerful by, I don't know, manipulating stuff on a molecular level, a molecular powered computer type thing, and creating infinite amounts of power, which is very much outlandish in science fiction. But from there, the idea extrapolates that computer could be used to do ridiculously insane infinite tasks in no time at all. Create a computer with an infinite loop, it can be done in under 10 seconds. It's like, it's an infinite loop. He could solve an infinite loop in 10 seconds, wait, what? But yeah, and then one of the concepts that's in this story they use it for is to simulate the entire universe in its entirety, everything, forever, the whole shebang, since the dawn of time through to the present day, and indeed onwards into the future. And this is exactly what the scientists do in the story. They create the entire universe, and they bring the computer to the present day so that they can look at the display on the computer and see themselves in the laboratory and the clock ticking along in real time, because it's simulating the entire universe in real time. Because, well, that's what it does. In fact, it can simulate it faster than real time if you want to speed things up, but for the purposes of observing things, they look at it in real time. And they have it in sync. They're looking at this computer screen, and they're in sync with it. And we're like, well, okay, that's a fascinating experiment. Let's turn the computer off for the night. We've got to go, it's you know, it's gone 5 o'clock. Let's go home now. Finish work for the day. And we better turn the computer off. And they're like, but what happens to the people inside the computer? There's us down there. Do they cease to exist if we turn the computer off? I was like, oh, well, that's an interesting question. How do we test? So what they do is they use the computer to, well, manipulate it. Obviously, it's a virtual environment, so they can create and do things. So what they do is they create a black orb hovering in the sky. And they just create it, you know, hovering in the sky behind their heads within the simulation. Like, well, if we're a computer simulation, basically the way it works is, well, basically what will happen is, you're going to have to read this because I can explain. I'm not explaining this well in the slightest. But they create the orb behind them, but because the universe is rendered perfectly, the scientists in the lab beneath them in the computer have also created a universe, and they create the same orb for their own particular universe that they're simulating, and so on all the way down. It's how do you know whether you're the top layer or not? And the way they do it is by creating this orb, and when they turn around, there is an orb hanging in the sky behind them. Dun dun dun! Spoiler alert. I totally ruined the entire story for you. As I say, it could probably be explained a lot better by reading things, because my explanation is utter guff there, but yeah, it's just an interesting concept to think about. It's one of those things that's like, there's literally no way to prove any of this, but it's, as always, definitely fascinating to think about. So yes, quantum computing could be the Matrix. We could just be somebody's science experiment in a lab, not necessarily taken over by computers who want to rule the world. The machines, whatever the heck they were in the Matrix. Just somebody's science experiment that they're afraid to turn off, because if they turn us off, they might cease to exist as well. Dun dun dun. Brought to you by M. Night Shyamalan. What a twist! So that's just about it, I think. I'm running a little over schedule, but I've actually managed to talk about, I think, all the things I wanted to talk about, which is actually a crazy amount of things that I wanted to talk about. So I'm quite happy with the things I've talked about today. My spiel, which if you remember lessons from earlier, means me talking about lots of things. So there you go. So I'm going to try and wrap it up here. If you want to leave me a question, please feel free to do so in the comments below, because then I will give you a mini shout out and I will have something to talk about next week. And in that regard, everybody's a winner! So that'll be awesome. Do not forget, I have a Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/buttonmash, for which, if you're willing to support me with a small subscription fee, I will make extra bonus content for you and you alone. Well, not for you and you, for you and all these Patreon patrons together. Not you alone, but, you know. I'll do an extra series that only you can watch, amongst a whole bunch of other things. Go check out the page, there's a whole bunch of things you can get. So go see that. As I say, yep, leave a question in the comments below. That's always fun. Don't forget to leave a like, because that helps me out a bunch. I'm running out of things and just rambling through all the spiel now. Subscribe if you're not already. And yeah, I'm not going to get to the end of the level before I end up running out of things to talk about. So maybe I'll just I will end by shooting these guys in the face with a charged attack. So thank you very much for watching. I've been Meroka. This has been Spiel, and I'll see you next time.